Hey guys, it is Carl Brown from guitarlessons365.com. I've got one that's been requested a lot, but I've always avoided because it is just swimming in different guitar layers, and it's just kind of hard to do something that's going to sound like the album. But I think I pulled it off, so I'm going to do it now. So before I do that, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell so you'll know when I release a new lesson. And please check out my Guitar Academy, the GL365 Academy. Link is in the description at guitarlessons365.com. It'll tell you all about it. All my guitar courses covering a bunch of different topics, from improvisation to ear training to technique to guitar tone. It is all there, so please go check it out. All right, so we're in standard tuning here, and I've got myself kind of like a clean setting here with a little bit of delay and chorus on it and some reverb. So this intro, this verse riff, you're going to hear a higher kind of guitar layer on there too. I'm not doing that one. It's kind of really high in the mix. It sounds really cool, but it's just one of the many guitars that they put on this track. Apparently they were horrified when they had to play this live for the first time too. So what I've done is kind of gone to what they do live. So I've kind of watched a bunch of videos of them playing live, quite a few times of them playing this live, to see kind of what parts they decided to do off the album to make it sound good live. So I did that, but there will be a couple of sections, the way they play it live, like in the pre-chorus, a little picking thing pattern that happens in the pre-chorus that Phil Collen does. Live, he does something a little bit different than is on the album, but at that point, I'm actually going to show you what's on the album instead of what he plays live now. All right, so having said that, let's start with this intro. Beautiful chords, man. So this first verse is going to be a little bit different than the second verse. So we're going to have a D minor 7 chord to start here. So it's a bar at the 5th fret. Then you're going to play the 7th fret on the D string, and then the 6th fret there on the B. So what you do here is you pick from the A string, then the D string, and the G string. So when you get to the G string, you want to pick the G and the B together. So like this. So it sounds like 3 hits, but you're hitting the G and the B at the same time. So like this. All right, then it gets to a G minor 7th chord. Now here, he kind of reverses it. You're going to play a full bar at the 3rd fret and then have the 5th fret there on the A string. The first hit, you're going to hit the 6th and the 5th, the A and the low E string together at the same time. Kind of muted though. And then the D string, which is being held at the 3rd fret with that bar, and then play the G and the B together. So we have this. So all together. All right, then we have this. So that's the, you're gonna do a bar at the 3rd fret. You're gonna play, it's gonna be the 3rd fret on the A, 5th fret on the D, 3rd fret on the G, so that's gonna be taken care of with the bar, and then the 6th fret there on the B string. It's good to put a little vibrato bar action on it too as well. And then we're gonna go to this 1st fret on the low E. It's actually going to be a F sus2 chord is what this is. So we have this 1st fret on the low E, 5th fret on the A, 3rd fret on the A, 3rd fret on the D. Then the open G string. And then you go back and hit the 5th fret there, the 3rd fret. So all together. Doesn't look like me. Repeat. Do you tell lies and say that it's forever? Do you think twice or just touch and see? All right, so that's how you're going to play the first verse. It's going to come back around here. Verse 1, we're still kind of staying in verses. A little transition riff in there, which is just this. There's one guitar plays this. So that's just a D power chord to an F power chord at the first fret of the low E. And then Phil Collen on top of that does this. So it just kind of breaks it up a little bit, that verse up. So that's just the 15th fret on the B, down to 13, and then down to 10. And then we're back to the verse again. Verse 2 is the same as the first. All right, so then we're going to get to the extended pre-chorus. Now, the pre-chorus of this song happens 3 times. The first and the third time, they have it's played twice as long. And then the middle time is half as long as the first and third. All right? So the first time you hear it, it's played a little bit longer, and it sounds like this. All right, so if you notice there, that little, I didn't do it the first time through because in the extended chorus that doesn't happen there. So the rhythm guitar part to this pre-chorus, all right, so this would be Steve Clark's part. So we have this. So we have it's going to start with an E sus2 chord. I'm sorry, E flat sus2. So we have the 6th fret bar there. And then 8th fret on, 6th fret on the, so it's going to be the 6th fret on the A string, 8th on the D and the G, and then 6 on the B. So it's just the 4 middle strings you'll strum across. Then you take it to an A flat power chord off the 4th fret of the low E string. And then to the F. Then the B flat. Now, sometimes you might hear him go, you'll hear the top 2 strings in there. He just does it with the bar. He kind of skips that G string. And then to the B flat. Power chord at the first fret of the A string. And then we go to this, see, big vibrato on the 4th fret of the low E. And then back to start over. And here, the second time around the chords is where we do that little picking pattern. So that's, when you get to that A flat, what you're going to do is this. Pick the low E, kind of palm muted. Pick the low E, A, D, A. And then just lower the note that on the low E string down 1 fret to the 3rd fret. Down to the F, again, and then back to the B flat. So all together for the extended pre-chorus, the rhythm guitar part. now the other part that goes on with that, so this is the part that I was talking about earlier, that the way Phil Collen plays this live is not exactly like is on the album. So I'm going to play it like it is on the album here. So it sounds like this. All right, so we have this that starts with the same E flat sus2 chord. Then we have this. Sorry. So 11th fret there on the B, and then the 13th fret there on the D a couple times. I'm muted. Then 13 on the G, back to the D string, hit that once. 12 on the G, back to D, hit that once, and then back to 14. You can play both of them at the end, so like this. Slower. Then we go to an F power chord, the 8th fret of the A string, and then here is where he doesn't do this live. So we have this. So that's basically going to be borrowing the 13th fret there on the, so you can play the D and the B string on the 13th fret, and you're going to have 15 on the G string. So basically the picking pattern, so you're going to start with the G string, then play D, G, B, and then you go, after you go the G, D, G, B, then you play D, G, D, and then both together. So we have this. So that note right there is what he doesn't do. He plays up here. He actually does the same thing he did. He doesn't do. He does the same thing, just 2 frets higher. That's what he does live, but it's not on the recording, so I'm just going to do it like the. So we have this. And then we start to repeat. Same arpeggio here. Back to the F. And here, instead of doing what we did before, it's going to be now the 15th fret there on the D string. So 15 there on the D and the G, and 13 on the B. The picking pattern is the same that we did before with this one though. It's going to be that. So Phil Collins, the whole part here to the pre-chorus. All right, then the rhythm guitar part to the chorus here, we're at the chorus here, looks like this. Really great ending to the chorus there, and it's kind of on a cleaner setting than that, but you know, I don't have butt laying in here with me to make it sound great. So we have just the chords there is going to be the C power chord off the 3rd fret of the A string, down to that same A flat power chord we did earlier, down to the F, and then that B flat. So it's kind of the similar chords we did earlier. So C, repeat. So after you've gone through those 4 chords twice, then we have that little pattern that ends it. So that's going to start with the C power chord. That C there on the 3rd fret of the A string, then the 5th fret on the D, and 3rd fret of the G. It's kind of more of a clean sound. So I'll switch to a clean sound. How about that? And then we have 4th fret on the low E, 3rd fret on the A, 5th fret on the D. And then we're going to play big stretch. We have 1st fret on the E string, 3rd fret on the A, 5th fret on the D. So we have this. And then there we go to a B flat sus2 chord. So it's just like that E flat sus2, but down here at the 1st fret, and you're gonna strum from the 5th string all the way across to the high E. All right, so we have that. All right, and then we have verse number 3, which is a little bit different. Different. A little bit more going on. So they're kind of developing the song as they go. So we're going to start so kind of raking into this 6th fret on the B string. Then go to 5 on the B, 5 on the G, 7 on the D, and then play 7 on the G string. Let those ring as much as you can. And then the same G minor 7 that we did in the first verse. So same thing there. Now this next chord, we just same chord but a little bit different pattern. Might not want to play like that. So we have that same chord, but we're going to pick across like we did before. And then we're going to pick again the A string, D string, and then move the note on the B string back to the 5th fret. So we have this. And then this last chord. So it's the same in the first half of it. Goes back to that A string, but now when you get that, you're going to move your index finger over to the 1st fret of the B string, and you're going to pick across the A, D, open G, and the B. So like this. So all together. So that's basically verse number 3, and they continue playing it that exact same way throughout the entire verse. And then we've got the pre-chorus, which is basically the short version. So basically you want to think of it really just kind of like the second half that we did of the first pre-chorus is played like that. So we do have that, in that part there as well. So it doesn't have that the first time through it. And then at the end when we do the pre-chorus, it'll be back to the way we did the first time through. So then we have the same chorus. Actually, I think what I skipped in the chorus, I'm glad I thought about it, is Phil Collins' lead part. So we went through the chords of the chorus. So now that we're to the chorus again, hey, we can do Phil Collins' parts. So Phil Collins' little lead licks during the chorus. Sorry, I skipped it earlier. Look like this. All right, so that's kind of sliding into the G string there on the 12th fret, over to 15 on the B, then back to that 12th fret on the G, and then up to 16 on the B. So it is. Then you're going to do pretty much the same thing, except you're going to slide into the 13th fret on the G string instead of the 12th. Notes on the B string stay the same. Then over to the 15th fret on the D string. And then same thing, you're just changing the, so I have 15, 16 on the B. So. And then to end it, we have sliding into that 12 again. You play 16 on the B first, back to that 12 on the G, then 15. So you basically reverse the notes on the B string. So after you're doing that twice, then he joins the same kind of ending there that we had before. So sorry about skipping that earlier, but at least we got to it, right? All right, so then we have basically, after that chorus, we got back to the verse, which we've already covered, verse 3. Then a short pre-chorus, kind of a half version of the pre-chorus. Then the chorus again. And then we have the solo. So let me go through the rhythm part for the solo first. It looks like this. So anyway, that is, we have a heavily palm muted, 7, 5 on the G, over to 7 on the D string twice. Then you go to 6th fret on the B string, then 5 on the B, 5 on the G, and 7 on the D. So that's the pattern, and it just repeats that. And then at the end, he grabs that F power chord at the very end of the solo there, as they go back into the pre-chorus, all right? Now, let me play Steve Clark's solo for you here. Great, it's kind of on a clean type sound. I'm not trying to dial that in too much, but So let me play through this real quick, and it's pretty simple, and I'll show you how to play it note for note. So here we go. All right, so that right there, very tasteful, very moody, very cool. So we start with on the G string here, 5, pick it a few times, slide to 7. Then we have this. So that's gonna play 10 on the G string, down to 7, then down to 2, back up to 3. So we have this. And when you get to that 3, do a bar across the top 3 strings. So you can just strum across that and make that little G minor chord there. So we have this. Very cool. So we have this. And then here he grabs a C power chord. So it's the 3rd fret on the A, 5th fret on the D, and he picks them together. It sounds like he picks them, kind of hybrid pick them. So the bottom note with the pick, and this note here on the D string with your middle finger or something. And he picks it, and he does bends the chord down, releases it, and then slide up to the D power chord. So with this. All right, next phrase. So we have this. So slide it, kind of rake into the 6th fret there on the B string, down to the 5th fret now, over to 5th fret on the G, 7th fret on the D, and then pick 5 on the G and slide over to 7. Then you're gonna grab, still got that note on the G string, you're gonna add the B string, 10th fret. Play those 2 together. Then move up to the 10th fret on the G and 11th fret on the B. So, all right, then we have this. So that's up at the 12th fret on the G, 13th fret on the B. Play that a few times. Slide up 2 frets, back down to 12, and then you hear him do that without kind of picking it a little bit after that. So with and then so that is the 16th fret there on the B string, hit a few times by itself. And then he goes down to the 15th, I'm sorry, that's not the 16th fret, that's the 18th fret. So 18th fret on the B, and then 17 on the G and the B together. And then move that down to 13 on the B, 14 on the G. So all together. All right, then we've got the our next pre-chorus, which is back to that extended pre-chorus, and then we have the last chorus, which is a little bit different. It's a lot longer. It keeps repeating, and there's like twice as long, and we have this little kind of chord shift going, and there's a little variation in what Phil Collen plays up top. So down below, Steve Clark's part will look like this. right, so that's the same chord, the same C power chord to A flat to F to B flat. The second time around, when you get to that F, what it does real quick, it does a quick F sus4 chord in there. So that's going to be the first fret of the low E, but then the fifth fret of the A, D, and the G. That note on the G string is what makes it a sus4. You play that, and then resolve that to an F major chord, which is the note on the G string goes from 3 to 2. And then we go to that B flat sus2 we did already. And then he repeats, and then it's just the same chorus progression there. So it's just, and then we're back to that same way we played it earlier in the song. All right, now Phil Collins' part there looks like this. So that's the same melody that starts. And right here we had that kind of goes with that F sus4 to the. So that's just going to be the. You can play the full chord, but it's kind of easier. Just to grab this. We have the 10th fret bar across the D, G, and the B, and play the 11th fret there on the B. And then release that just to that bar of the 10s across those 3 strings. And then grab that B sus2 chord like it along with Steve Clark. And then back to the melody, and here's where he mixes up the melody a little bit. So right there, after you basically play the melody, instead of doing the last one, you just do this, which is 16, 15, 13 on the B string, over to 15 on the G, and then back to the melody, just like normal. And then all right, and that is about it for Love Bites. It's a fantastic song. Def Leppard, one of my favorite 80s bands by far. And this is just really a classic, but hard to realize exactly like they do on the album, but you can make it sound pretty nice regardless. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for guitarlessons365.com.